It's just incredibly painful and hurtful, all of this. We really need some kind of accountability.
Calls for justice continue for the Indigenous children who died at Canada's residential schools. The discovery of 215 remains at an unmarked burial ground in BC sent shockwaves of grief across the country and the world, some demanding Canada be held responsible at the international level.
If they had the Nuremberg trials, why don't they have something like that for Indigenous people? Why can't people be named and go to court and be recognized for being part of this?
Some classify Canada's treatment of its Indigenous population as genocide, and Prime Minister Trudeau himself accepted the term in regards to the findings of the National Inquiry into Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, which described the deaths and disappearances as genocide.
A formal recognition or determination of genocide would have to be made by a judicial body, but they nevertheless come to the conclusion that there's serious reasons to believe that all the violations have been documented by the National Inquiry amounted to genocide.
Experts say Trudeau's acceptance of the inquiry's findings could have a tremendous impact if a court ever weighs Ottawa's responsibility for crimes against humanity.
If a state is recognized as being responsible for a violation such as genocide, there's an obligation of reparation, and that's a legal obligation. And in this case, the reparation takes the form of fully implementing all the calls to justice.
On residential schools, some hoping Canada orders a full investigation of the sites.
That needs to be looked into, and then the total number of children. And ideally, the 215 children that we know of should be named. There should be like a plaque.
Quebec's Indigenous Affairs Minister named a facilitator who will stay in contact with Indigenous elders as the provincial and federal governments determine what comes next in the search for remains of residential school victims.
So what they tried to do was to do it in secret, right? That no one was going to ever know about this. And no one would if they hadn't done that scan. So, I mean, it's multi-level in terms of checking all the other residential schools, getting those numbers and finding out who's accountable. So there should be some kind of trial.
In Montreal, Alyssia Rubertucci, City News.